Hello YouTube, Joe again. This time, I would like to talk about not being able to clamp wherever I want to clamp. It seems every time you get ready to clamp something down, you're hitting on something, one of these cast iron webs underneath the table, right? And then you always have to move everything around to change once again so that you can manipulate and move to miss. I thought there's got to be an easier way. Once again, let's have a closer look. In this view, we see that there's float for this table of a few inches. This is just two pieces of 3/4 MDF that are glued together. Make it good and strong so I can have this float over the edge. But that float allows you to clamp in until the float. But then as you can see, I have another piece that's underneath here, and I'll show you what's inside there next. Okay, now this gives us a nice view of the underside of those wonderful cast iron ribs that our clamps are always bouncing off of. Everything is always unlevel, it seems. So I put a cleat up the middle, something that's good and strong, glued it nice. But I had to make some clearance for things that are going on under the table, of course. In back, those ribs come down below the bottom of the table, so I had to make little cutouts for those. You can kind of see against the wall. Maybe you can't. You can see those cutouts. And this piece, again, had to have them too. But that's not a big deal. Glue your part in once you have it all figured out. Not only does the inside of the rib here, the cleat, touch the bottom of the table nicely, but the outside skirt of this whole thing caps off the bottom, if you will, real nice. Obviously I put it on upside down for you because I don't want to run the screw in again. But so now you have the surface to clamp on here, and it's supported by cast iron. Then underneath here, it isn't a bad idea if you like to clamp things really ultra tight to put a couple along this side too, a couple of filler ribs. So you'd have one in the middle, one here, and then you have the edge too. I don't clamp things down that tight, so I'm not worried about it. But it's a pretty nice way to be able to clamp anywhere you want at any time, and just know that you can do it. I have a couple other ideas too. Let's have a look. And then there's an easy way to keep all your most used items together too. Drill up a block, throw them on the back of the drill press. You seem to have everything together then at that point. Whatever items you use a lot of, stuff them in there and they're not all laying all over the place. Kind of makes it nice. Another item that I'll point out too is, what do you guys do underneath your drill press table about drill press flex? This table does flex sometimes. I'll show you how I take care of that. Okay, and when it comes to really getting down on some really thick steel, turns out that this is a radial drill press, so I can move the head all the way in and back, at which point it's pretty strong in that position. But when you go to really bear down on something, some big heavy drills and stuff, I find it just bends the table out of the way. Now yes, half of it's because I made the table bigger, so I'm supporting that action with it's a jack screw is all it is. You can turn this and it gets bigger, bring it in, obviously it gets smaller, to adjust for your table size. And that way you have so much more support. You end up having much truer holes when you're all said and done. I thought I might mention that. Also, some of these tables, the base rather, of the tabletop units don't fit the way you would like them on your bench. Well, not for me anyway. So I mounted this one backwards. So I put a larger base on it. Did a little bit of rubber isolation, which really does nothing. But there is some on the bottom here to attempt to make a little less noise. Works out really well when you're doing goofy things with this drill press, because you can bend the head and do anything you want with the head. And because of that, you can throw it off center really easy. So it's nice to have something that can mitigate the problems. All right? And in my opinion, if you guys have a chance, this is the drill press you should get, a radial drill press. Look into a cheap one from somebody like Grizzly Industrial. They're not very expensive. They're around $400. But it's so versatile that you can use it like a lathe, you can use it like a drill press, you can use it as a cutoff tool for vacuum forms. You can just do anything with it. And the fact that you can leave your table always at a 90 and change the head, I really like, because it's tougher to get everything back in sync when you're messing with the table. It's a lot easier to get the head back into a 90. You guys let me know what you think. Take care.